All right, I want to welcome everybody back for the spring 2022 semester. Erica has sent you an attendance via email, so if you could please take a minute to check your Outlook. And it is for voting senators, so if you are not a voting senator, then you did not receive the email. If you are a voting senator, please check your email quick and participate in our attendance. If you don't get the email, let us know, because it is the beginning of the semester, and we always have those glitches here and there. There is an attendance up in front. If you are not a voting senator, you can sign in, but you don't have to do that right this minute if you are already sitting. So just a few things to remind everybody as we are back in person and together. Please continue to wear your masks while you are here. If you are speaking into the microphone, you may remove your mask while you are speaking. And again, reminder, even if you have the world's loudest, most projection-esque voice in the world, like I do, you still need to talk into the microphone. And you have to press the button to talk into the microphone. And then if you are in the back, of course, without access to the microphone, you're going to need to get up and go to the microphone in the back on either side. Thank you very much. All right, so today we're going to start out with a few little demos and some public service announcements on behalf of several different departments across the college. We welcome everybody back for spring 2022. So if you may recall back on our courses in Blackboard, and let's see if I can pull mine up. If you use Brain Fuse, here we go. It didn't come back over with our courses this year for Blackboard. So if you are using Brain Fuse tutoring, you need to add that to your classes. And I waited until today to add it to mine so I could show everyone how to do it real quick. So you go into your courses on Blackboard. Here we go. So here's my online course. You're going to hit add, and it's a tool link. And then it's type. You can choose, and there you go. Go to Brain Fuse. You can also check out some of the other really neat tools that are there. Depending on your area, you might find one that is very helpful for your courses. So you choose Brain Fuse Online Tutoring. Click Available to Users. Otherwise, it's like you didn't do anything. And then, come on. Oh, and then you got to put a name in there. And there it is. So you can obviously use the toggle to switch it around, move it somewhere else whatever your menus are on the left-hand side of your page. But there that is. So if you use Brain Fuse tutoring, even if you do not use Brain Fuse tutoring, I would be willing to bet that your students do use Brain Fuse tutoring. So I strongly suggest everyone go in, take a couple seconds, add those to your Blackboard courses, and that would be lovely. So speaking of Blackboard courses, I'll just leave this up here. So with many of the things that we can do, we can add tools. I use Lumen, there's Cengage, there's all sorts of different things. So as faculty, we should be adding these things to our courses ourselves. There was one instance, and I'm sure it was isolated, but it's one of those things that we all need to be aware of as far as security. So let's say, for example, one of the tool providers said to you, hey, you know what? I could set up your online class or your seated class for you with this really great tool. Just give me your username and your password. All right, so besides all the regular reasons why we're going, geez, that's a terrible idea, that also, if you remember, gets you into Workday. And it's real easy to change where your money goes in Workday, which is a great feature of Workday if you are the password holder, of course, not if you're passing your password out there. But it also gives information about our students out there. So while it seems like a great idea to have a publisher help us out and create those things, you should be working with them in tandem and not be giving out your username and your password. And yeah, we still can't believe we had to do that, but there you go. The more you know, don't pass out your information. Also with laptops, we are in the process, if you have a laptop through COVID, we are working with ITS to change our desktops into laptops with a monitor, getting rid of the towers. Laptops are faster, they're more efficient, you can take your laptop with you. So you should have gotten an email from ITS about that. Please consider replying to that and moving through that migration. I'm going to take my Blackboard course down. A few other things. We were asked earlier today, the Board of Trustees for SUNY is looking to create a task force to recommend a system-wide policy encouraging the elimination of single-use plastics. And this is SUNY-wide, but they're reaching out to individual SUNY campuses to get as much engagement as possible. Spoke with Mark Connors, who heads up that area of the college, and he's looking for interested faculty and students to be on this task force. And it's SUNY-wide, so it's a really awesome opportunity for our faculty and our students to participate in something that reaches beyond the walls of SUNY Erie. So that is Mark Connors, and it's Conners. And you can reach out to him, or you could just reach out to me directly as well if you are interested in participating in this task force. Looking for the agenda. There it is. A few other things I know. Is Mary in? All right, Dr. Partee is on the agenda. I'm sure she's going to be coming, but one of the things that we are also be working with our Center of Professional Development is coming up with, well, not really coming up with it because you already came up with it, engaging activities for our students and how we reach them through COVID. Everybody did some really amazing things out there, and it's one of those things that you kind of hear maybe here and there in the hallway, maybe not so much because our first semester being on campus was last semester, but we are looking for you. Anyone that did something awesome, or say maybe you heard about one of your colleagues that did something for our students on how to, navigate the semester being back in person and being engaging with COVID. We're looking for you for information, especially as College Day approaches in March. And then one of the other things, it is February, and February is Black History Month. So with the different celebrations that we have with various months, I've been trying to show some books and things like that of various authors for the different months. And so this month I would like to highlight Octavia Butler. So she is an American science fiction author, and she's won many, many awards. And let's see if I can click it. One of them in particular that we have read, it's Wikipedia, I apologize, I hate Wikipedia, but it's doing what I needed to do for today. So Kindred is a book that explores slavery, but also with a 20th century black woman who's transported back in time at various periods throughout slavery. And just how she navigates it as a woman in the 20th century being transported back, and of course it's science fiction with a little bit of a spin on history. It is a fantastic read, and I strongly suggest it, and Octavia Butler in general is just amazing, primo reading, so, and it crosses all these boundaries with all the different areas that we can read, so I just wanted to highlight that as well. Last but not least, for future Senate meetings, we would just like to remind you that all documents should not be submitted to the Senate the day of the Senate, preferably 2 weeks before the Senate, and not when I'm driving here in my car and unable to load things to the Senate site. But if we could just keep that in mind for the future of the semester, that would be grand. All right, and with that, before I turn it over to our new president, I want to welcome our Sga Reps. We have Angela in the back from North Campus, and then I think I saw Molly next to her. There's Molly from South Campus, and then Jessica is also here from South Campus, and then Dominique from City Campus. So welcome to all of you. We're very excited to have you here and your perspective on all the different things that we discuss and debate and vote on, and thanks for making the trek, especially because it's wintry and a little bit gross out there today. So we appreciate you guys joining us. Thank you. Okay, so without any further ado, I'd like to introduce Dr. David Balkin.
Is this on? Is this on? Yes, it is. So this isn't going to be a formal report, as hopefully the future ones will be. I just wanted to take a few minutes to throw out some ideas that I have, recognizing that over the past couple of years, and actually over the past 5 to 10 years, community colleges have changed. I think we're all aware of the fact that students are different. They have a different expectation. Oftentimes you'll find that now even traditional students, those coming right out of high school, have an expectation that their employers will foot the bill for their education. Non-traditional students, incumbent workers, are obviously highly dependent on their employees for upskilling, for having the time made available. So all that to say, one of the things that I think we need to focus on moving forward is just enhancing the ability to provide micro-credentials, badges, work with industry partners to basically provide them exactly what they need. And this isn't to say that we're abandoning programs, degrees, the certificate programs we have. This is to complement it and to effectively figure out how we can best generate more revenue. I think we're all aware of the fact that over the last 11 years, we've continuously had declining enrollment. And frankly, it's not unique to our campus. However, I think there are some unique things that we can do to address it, and especially in this community. We've got a really strong manufacturing base, really strong business base, and I think the key to our success moving forward is that tight collaboration. I may have mentioned before, just prior to arriving here, in my previous position, I struck a deal with Beacon Health System in which they are effectively committed to providing last-in scholarships to 75 students a year. They also were giving them a living stipend up to $8,500 a year. They were also contributing faculty to help us, so they basically took bedside nurses who had masters, and they were kind of rotating in both as full-time and adjunct. So, I know this might sound problematic, but the way it worked and the reason it was so effective for us is because they were effectively donating the difference in salary that they would typically make. These Beacon full-time nurses who were basically serving us as full-time faculty, say they were making $120,000 a year as a bedside nurse, we could only afford, say, $54,000. Beacon Health would pay the difference and their benefits and keep them as full-time Beacon employees. So I mention this because that model isn't unique to South Bend, Elkhart. In fact, it's now being replicated throughout the state of Indiana. And I am highly confident that ECMC or Kaleida or others who are currently having to foot the bill, the expensive bill for agency nurses, are very interested in trying to figure out how to get more cost-effective moving forward. I also will tell you that I'm sure you're all aware of 2+2 articulation agreements with four-year colleges. What I'm really interested in doing is maybe introducing a 1+2+1 program where students who might not really want to go to a local community college because they want the four-year college experience can start at a four-year college do 1 year, maybe develop whatever prerequisites are required for our nursing program, for example. Then we provide the 2-year nursing associate's degree, and then in the 4th year, they continue on and get their bachelor's. That's something that Ivy Tech Community College was doing with Goshen College as I was leaving. So again, the idea here is a win-win. You know, I'm not interested in competing with all the 4-year colleges for students, but if there's a way that we can leverage our resources, our faculty expertise, to enable them to offer associate's degrees in conjunction with their 4-year program, it's a win-win. And all that to say, you know, it's just a couple of examples of things that I think we need to do in order to creatively address the revenue challenges we have moving forward. I'll also tell you that at my campus, we offered courses that were 100% in Spanish. We had City of Goshen was actually the growth engine for the South Bend Elkhart campus. And it was about 60% Latino. And it was growing. It was the only thing that was growing from a population perspective. So we stood back and said, well, okay, which programs might we be able to either put an interpreter in the classroom with them or have them just be taught in Spanish by one of our bilingual instructors? We ended up starting a pilot program with early childhood education. Interestingly, you know, we'd have our first cohort had 18 students in it, mostly non-traditional students who, again, didn't have a strong English background, but they all passed, they all got their certificate, and they're all currently serving the Latino population in Goshen. So, you know, my perspective on immigrant population is, you know, I kind of empathize and put myself in their shoes. Frankly, if I had to go to South America and learn Spanish to a certain level of proficiency before I could contribute to the economy, it would be a long wait, you know. My language skills are poor at best. Even English is poor. So all that to say, you know, I'm open to creative ideas. I'm open to our faculty identifying things that they think we can offer as 7.5-week classes, 8-week classes, 4-week classes, even a weekend session. The name of the game here is generating revenue and getting people on the hook. Getting them excited about the fact that they can be successful in a post-secondary environment. And frankly, you know, having been raised in this area, I know the capabilities that ECC brings to the table. I know the impact that this college has on the region, and I'm really excited about the prospects for the future. So that's all I really wanted to say. I appreciate your time. Willing to answer any questions, should anybody have any. Come on, one question. Okay, well listen, my email address is balkin@ecc.edu. That's BALKIN. I welcome your suggestions because again, the way we're going to get out of this revenue challenge we have is by coming up with creative ways to collaborate and to find new offerings that are going to be impactful to the region. And again, don't think that, you know, a weekend course or a 2-week course or a 4-week course is a mistake because again, it's setting the hook and allowing people to recognize that either they have an interest in a program or they have the capability to be successful in that program. So I appreciate your time. Thank you very much.
Great. Thank you very much. And I have to say, I met with Dr. Balkin yesterday, and that's exactly the message that, you know, we discussed, and we talked about all the different task force that we have developed through the Senate over the years, and how that this group of individuals and those that reach beyond these walls are excited. We are hungry. We are ready to do what we need to do to come up with those creative solutions to help our students, help our college, and help our revenue. So thank you so much. And I am looking forward to the opportunity to participate in that, as well as I'm sure everybody else in this room and watching at home or in their office, wherever you happen to be. Okay, so moving along, we have the approval of the minutes from our last meeting from the fall 2021 semester. They are not Octavia Butler. Let's see, okay. All right, so they are posted up on the Senate site. Can I have a motion to approve? Pat Ryan, thank you. Dorothy, second. Thank you. Any questions or discussion on the motion to approve the minutes? Greg? Okay, thank you. Okay, no questions or comments on the motion. They are approved by consent. Okay, and Dr. Nealons, you're up. We got our General Education Committee. We have 5 General Education ILOs, our institutional learning outcomes. We've discussed them at length in November and December, right? And then they've been sent out to the college community. I'll turn it over to you, sir.
Great, thank you. As you mentioned, this is a approval of our Ilo assessment that we did last academic year. We are certainly still continuing now this academic year with our schedule for assessing these important general education requirements. What you see here in the reports that were submitted to the Senate, this was an opportunity for us to try to capitalize on the remote learning that took place last academic year. And then these are the applicable ILOs that we were able to collect information from. And so if there's any questions, happy to take those. Otherwise, I just want to really give my appreciation to all of the different academic units that contributed to this. I know with the amount of transition that happened last academic year, it was very encouraging to see how much we were able to get. And I look forward to being able to utilize this along with the General Education Committee in better understanding how effective our different instructional methods are and combine it with the information we did this academic year as well.
Excellent. So I'll ask you what your pleasure. Do you want to make a motion to approve them all at once?
That would be, I think, for time purposes, absolutely. I think that's how we've done it in the past, so I would absolutely recommend that if possible.
All right, can I get a second? Jason Steinitz, thank you very much. Questions, comments, debate for Dr. Nealons? All right, Erica is going to send you a link, and we're going to practice voting on email. And I heard some dings, so you got it. I'm going to pass the computer around. If anyone else, Derek is next. If anyone else needs assistance, I'll be right with you. Are we missing anyone else while we're checking our names and numbers? All right. Thank you, everyone, for your patience. And with that, it has overwhelmingly passed. So thank you, and thank you to our General Education Committee for all of their hard work, and to everyone that helped get the word out and make sure that we had good, ample discussion about these ILOs moving forward. Thank you. Dr. Jason Steinitz. So if you recall, last semester, we discussed, we've been doing the 7.5-week courses. We passed a resolution to formalize the 7.5-week courses, and Dr. Jason Steinitz has the update for that.
Good afternoon. Could you bring up the list of courses first? These are the courses that, by the way, these were formerly referred to as rescue courses. We moved away from that terminology. We're now calling them mid-semester start courses. These are pretty much open to any student who would like to pick up a course. If students are interested, these are starting, by the way, on March 21st. So run cancel for these will be the Thursday before that, and then they will run through the end of this semester. We're in the process of putting together communication to students to let them know what's out there. In order to register for any of these courses, the student has to go through a counselor. These are short courses. They're the regular course taught in half the time. We want to make sure that students are properly advised, that they get good advice in terms of figuring out their time and their commitment to the class. Does it fit into their course requirements? So you will be getting a communication from someone soon that will identify these counselors for us, and they will be the contact person for any student looking to register. These are now, by the way, live on Workday as of like the past 20 minutes. So that's a good thing. Can you bring up the section number piece? One of the things that our task force met for the first time last week, which I thought was a fantastic meeting because we had all the experts there that we needed, and they all contributed their piece. And of course, there are so many moving pieces to anything like this. We really have to depend on people who know what they're talking about. So I thought we got some really good information. And one of the things we decided on during that meeting was a unique section number for half-semester courses. And although this says suggested, this is not suggested anymore. This is what we're using. So the section number would be something like 7AC, 7 for 7.5 week duration, A or B, A for the first half of the semester, B for a second half of the semester, and then C, I, N, or S for the location. So all of the courses being offered this semester are obviously second half. They're all online. And so all of their section numbers are 7BI. We also have course tags added. Thank you to those people who work in the Workday area that were able to get us. Rochelle Weber in particular got these course tags set up for us. So now you can go to course tags, choose more to see the whole list, and then click on other half-semester courses, and this list will come up in its entirety. That's a huge step, because now students, faculty, advisors, counselors can go in, get that full list whenever they want to check on it. This document and the list of courses before are both on the Senate website, so you can look those up whenever you want. And if you have any students interested, take their information, and as soon as we get the counselors decided, we'll send you that contact information and we can get rolling. So I'm excited. We have some really good classes. We're hitting almost all of a lot of the general ed requirements for students, and we're meeting some needs that may not have been met during registration simply because courses closed up online. So hopefully students who, oh, all right, I'm not taking 15 credits, I'll take 12, I'll skip this class. Now they can go back and maybe pick that up and get their full 15 credits that they wanted in the first place. So, does anybody have any questions or anything? I would say for the fall semester, we're thinking about starting some sequenced. This is all pilot stuff, so this will be evaluated and reviewed to death as we get information in. But the next step would be to offer sequenced courses for degree programs. So for example, EN 100 followed by an EN 101, or a HU 100 in social science followed by an anthropology or something. So students can do that half and half schedule. Down the road, I would like to see us be creative in designing degree paths that make use of online half-semester courses, get these students out, graduated, and moving. And the beauty of that is if they do a full 15 credit schedule, they will only have to be working on three courses at a time. So they can focus better, get that out of the way, finish those first couple courses, and then move on to the second semester. So, and this is nothing new. There are a lot of colleges across the country that have already been doing things like this. Yes?
Just a quick question. So I apologize if I missed this, but these mid-semester starts, how many credit hours do they get for these classes?
The full 3 credit hours.
So
it is what would normally be a 15-week course, but we do it in half the time. So it's not unlike taking a summer class. It's the same course, but it's accelerated. And that's why we have students, we want them going through counselors to make sure that they are aware of this and that they will have to put that time in. And this is not an easy, oh, I only have to spend half the time. No.
yeah, no, it's good that you clarify that for the
Yeah.
students, because at Ivy Tech, my previous college, 90% of the classes were 8-week courses.
Yeah.
And it was intensive. So
Yes.
a full load was 2 classes.
Yep.
And, I just want to make sure everyone recognizes that if you're not explaining
Exactly.
this clearly to the students, they're quickly overwhelmed, especially
Yes.
if they're working part-time or doing something else. So.
Yeah, no, this has to be clear, and that's why we're using counselors as a gatekeeper. Students cannot sign up for this without a counselor's okay. Any other questions?
Bill?
Based on the course designation, is there a reason why hybrid isn't also an option?
Well, actually, it is a hybrid almost by definition because it's only being taught for half the semester.
I think he means seated with online components.
Oh, no, the reason we're doing online is because there's a bigger draw online. So in other words, we want to have as many students able to take these as possible. And the minute we put them on a particular campus, we've sort of eliminated all of the other students from the other two campuses. So that's why they're online. If we see that the demand is growing in the future and we're able to start offering seated versions, absolutely, that's something we would want to do.
Right, I think this is a
Yeah, I
pilot, and at
misunderstood the
this point,
question.
it's just, we're waiting to see. So that's, a really big component of what we need from everybody here is if you're talking with your students and they know about this option and they say, I would have preferred it as a seated night course, or I would have preferred a hybrid section. That's the information we need from you guys to get from your students to give to us, because that is how we are going to make better decisions that are student-driven. Kim?
As far as I know, we don't have a synchronous version of anything. So these are just online courses as we would normally offer online courses.
Yep, they're going to run as regular, asynchronous,
Yep.
normal online courses. Greg?
So can there be classes added to this list? And how would it be done?
In the future, definitely.
But not this year.
Not this semester.
Not this semester, no. 'Cause we're still in the pilot phase.
But absolutely in the future, we'll be looking to expand this once we see what seems to work, what doesn't, that sort of thing. So.
Right, and that's the thing with anyone with programs that are that could offer courses outside of these general education courses. If you have a
Absolutely.
student need that this would work great with your program, those are the things we need to know. Dr. Balkin?
So you might have answered my question by saying these work great with the program. I mean, my concern, especially as a rescue course, as it was originally designated, is that, we're enabling students to maybe maintain their financial aid, but we're expanding the total number of, courses they need to take in order to graduate. So these are all approved by the advisor to say these are good substitute courses for in-program of study classes, right?
Yes. Again, why we want to make sure they go through an advisor.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Molly? Could I just have you walk over to the mic, honey?
Can you hear me? Okay. Sorry. My question actually was, because these are accelerated courses, what are you, I don't know how many online courses you've taken, but because of the rush of them, you can overwhelm students and all of that information. So what are you going to do to make sure that the students are actually learning and retaining the information that they need to be successful in these programs?
Yeah, that goes back, number one, to advising the students properly about what they're getting into, but it also speaks to the need for faculty to design their courses so that they can be effectively completed in that shorter time period. So it's not just a matter of taking, here is my 15-week class, I'll just change the due dates and we'll get it done.
Right.
We have to change how we're presenting the material and offering things that allow students to absorb material more efficiently, more effectively the first time around, so that students have a reasonable ability to absorb this. And that's a very good point, because I think we often, as I said, think of it just, we're just offering a shorter version of the same class. That's not what our intent is. And so we may also include faculty training, faculty advice, sharing good strategies and so on, so that we make sure, and that's why we're going to be checking back with these students. I don't want to just know that, okay, you got a C and you passed it.
Right.
I want to know, how did it go for you? So we're going to follow up with surveys to students who participate so that we get a sense of how it really worked for them and what did they think we need to do to improve. Because if we want this to be a viable program, we have to make it something that isn't going to kill our students,
Right.
obviously, so.
Absolutely, and I think that's something that we'll probably be leaning on our Sga Reps for,
Absolutely.
to make
Yep.
sure that, you know, if you have students that you know of that are doing these things, to make sure you know, get back to us with any sort of feedback.
Absolutely, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
No problem.
That's a
Thank
good
you.
question.
Amy?
One of the things that came out of the most recent meeting too was that we are requesting specific descriptions of assignments required for students, whether they're going to have cost up front or not. As counselors, and one of the counselors who started working with this when it first started, it's really important to be able to provide students with the whole picture and be as upfront as possible about what the expectations are and what things are going to look like. So, you know, we've come up with actually a rubric of what we'd like to see from the professors offering the courses and what information we can provide to students. So I think that will help with that too.
Yeah, that's really awesome.
And those are, in fact, coming in already. So they're out to faculty, they're filling them out, and we're getting them back in. And once we get our counselors designated, hopefully Amy will be on that list, because she's one of our experts. We'll get that information out to the counselors so they can just, here, this is what you're getting into, these are the kinds of assignments, here's what the cost of the program is, and there you go.
Awesome.
Of the course.
That's great. Dr. Balkin?
Assuming this is successful, and I think it will be, it sounds like you really crossed your Ts and dotted your Is.
Trying to.
But I'm just wondering, are we also envisioning baking this into programs of study as alternative approaches to being able to complete their degree?
Absolutely,
So
yes.
it'll be in a catalog to say this or this type of thing?
Yes.
Excellent.
That's the goal down the road.
Absolutely, and I want to remind everybody here that one of the things that Jason said at the very beginning of this is open to all students. This is not to be considered, you know, rescue courses anymore. Can they be used at that? Yes, but that is not the way we're going with this into the future. This can be a awesome opportunity for our students. Remember, Excelsior, you need 30 credit hours per year. So if we have students that we're like, I think I might only want to do 12, this is going to be a way that they can get that up to 15 without having to take a summer course. They could still take a summer course, of course, but a lot of our students also work and have families and things like that that occupy their time during the summer. So that's something else that you want to make sure you discuss that with your students when you're discussing this opportunity. Derek?
If these courses require textbooks, we really need them on day one. We can't be waiting 2 weeks in a 7.5-week course before the books arrive.
100% agree with that. Thank you, Derek. Patty?
I've sat in the background and watched the team work on this for years.
Years.
This was a faculty initiative, and they have put in well beyond normal hours to make this happen. We did the pilot. We've gone through the rough spots. It's amazing. I'm just so excited to see it finally come to fruition and know that it worked, because the system worked and the faculty worked, and we came together and people were in the room answering the questions and committed to coming up with another path for success for our students. This is very exciting stuff.
I am. I'm a little over the top excited as well. So well done, everybody. This is awesome. I think Eric and I have been hard having conversations with this in the entire 5 years we've been up here. So it's there. It's great. All right, so I'm going to move over to the governance committee. Michael Rio, we have a few things up on the docket.
Thank you. Governance committee report includes the election cycle information, which is in a document attached to the Senate documents that came in this morning, last minute.
Oh, cool. They're
Yeah.
not up yet.
I think I did see it on the website.
Okay.
So if you could pull that up, there is a list of terms expiring. So if you're an incumbent and your term is expiring this semester, then feel free to nominate yourself or nominate someone else. Or if you're in one of those divisions, campus location, please make nominations to Senate Governance at ecc.edu. Nominations close on March 1st, and elections take place on College Day. The vacancies that still exist can be filled with appointments. So if you have someone in that bottom kind of list there, make a recommendation, nomination, send it to the chair or to governance committee, and we will try to get those seats filled before June. The elections for a vacancy on the Senate Executive Committee will take place next Senate meeting, so we can accept nominations beginning today, and those also can be sent through the college Senate Governance Committee website or to the officers of the Senate. In addition, we have a cycle for at-large senators, and that begins in April. So just the dates that are upcoming, keep those in mind if you're an incumbent or if you are making nominations. That's the election update. If there are any questions, comments, be happy to take those. We have bylaws proposals. Some are being postponed until the next Senate for discussion. And at this meeting, I believe we are looking at a bylaws change for executive committee membership.
Yep, I'll pull that one up. As far as the governance committee, we had 3 for December. They're on the agenda today as a bridge from December to February so that we are reminded of the work that we started in December and the work that we need to continue to finish moving forward in the spring semester. The one proposed bylaw change is ready to go, and I'll pull that up in a second. 2 of the other bylaw changes that are up for proposal but discussion and lots of edits is the ex officio Senate membership and creation of an academic policy committee. And there are drafts out there and things like that. We're going to be getting some meetings in motion in the next couple of weeks. So if you are interested in being part of the writing and the debates for either of those, please look at I'll be sending the recap out later this week. And if that's something that interests you, shoot me an email and we'll add you to the list of people to create these things. We were able to, in the past, move general education and college-wide curriculum committee under the College Senate, and there was a lot of work that it took knowledge from a lot of different areas. The creation of the academic policy committee is new to SUNY Erie, so it's going to be a little bit different than just taking 2 committees we already have and sliding them under the Senate. So we're going to need lots of eyes on these, we're going to need some thoughtful debate, and we're going to need areas of expertise across the college as we move forward with those. So there's an abstract. I believe there's some drafts up there on the College Senate site. You've seen them in December several times, so they're out there. Please take a look at them, and then they are coming down the line. We're hoping to have them ready for March for a debate on the floor. But moving for the one that is ready, let me get that up. And that is executive committee membership changes. Okay, so pursuant to Article 7 of the ECC College Senate bylaws, which of course are available on our College Senate website, we have in the past had the Senate chair, Senate vice chair, our Faculty Council of Community Colleges delegate, 1 sitting senator appointed by the FFECC president, 2 members of senior executive staff at the vice president or vice provost level that are appointed by the college president, 2 senators elected by the Senate. The proposal is to add the chair of our College Senate Governance Committee, and there's the rationale is to eliminate one more meeting I have to go to. No, not really, but it's to streamline all of the things. There's been many times that thankfully our governance chair and myself and Erica are all on the same campus, and we run into each other in the hallways to make sure all of the organizations are talking to each other and on the same page. So that is the rationale. Can I have a motion? Bill, thank you. Second, Jackie Bossman. Thank you. There any, oh, what did I do? Here we go. Any questions, comments, concerns about this bylaw addition? All right. Okay, so since this is a bylaw change, we are going to send it out electronically and not do it by consent. So be ready for that. And done. Give you a minute to respond. All right, so time out. We're going to welcome to the beginning of the semester. Okay, now it worked. For real, we promise. Yeah, it was just practice. We're just looking to see if you guys are on your toes. That's what I tell my students when I add things wrong on the board. Just check it to see if you're paid attention.
Some good things are there that are important to professional development and should keep you motivated to continue the work that we do here collectively. So before I talk about what's on the screen, there's a couple of things that I definitely hope that you're taking the time to look at. And one of the key pieces that we have there is the Monday morning mentor. If you have not seen it, it is awesome. Please sign in and take that because they're asynchronous sessions where you get training, you participate, and a lot of what's available from the SUNY-wide Center for Professional Development offers a lot of asynchronous courses that you have a week to complete at your leisure. You could do it in your fuzzy pajamas with your slippers on like we're used to working. But you also can look at the transcript after, which is nice to refresh yourself, and you can get a certificate. So that's going to go on throughout the semester, but there is a lot of information there. Last week, There was one on how to create an anti-racist syllabus. This week, as you can see there, it's how to create a class that's supportive for first-year students. And all of that is in line with a lot of things that people are doing here, and it adds to our own internal professional development in a very comfortable way. So please take the time to check out the announcements on Monday if you have not had a chance to do that. The other thing is coming up, it's on the screen, thank you for that, Colleen. This Thursday, if you missed it on Convocation Day, there is a WebEx, and you can see the title there, The New Normal, Not Yet. It was an overwhelming response for that, and you get to come in and share with some of the experiences, challenges, and successes that individuals are having regarding the pandemic and what it looks like from our side of the house as we serve all of our students. So if you haven't done that, please check in. A couple of the faculty that you know are on that session, and there's a collaboration with that. So we have our retired, that's what he says anyway, Mike Delaney, he says he's retired, Patty Kaiser, Jackie Bossman, and Caitlin. So if you missed it Convocation Day, there's an opportunity for you to join into that conversation. We try to keep these things going because while we're still in, this semi-active workspace, it's important to share. So that gives you a chance to share your voice and concerns and your successes. So please do that. The other thing right there, College Day is coming up March 18th. Some of you have emailed our CPD office. We do not know the directive of whether or not College Day will be virtual or in person, but as soon as that's been confirmed, we will reach out for the planning that you all contribute to whenever we have professional development days. But in the meantime, plan for that date, Friday the 18th. And one of the things that we're going to have is we're going to have a book read. The book is on the screen, Think Again. It's an easy read. It's an interesting read. Our own Erica Hendra there will be leading the session. We are going to have books available. A small number will be available, so watch for details, and you will be able to get a copy of that for your own personal use and possession if you commit to participating after you've read the book by March. So please think about that. And the book, Think Again, is not only is it a quick read, it's informative, and it's not a book that you have to read from front to back. You can pick up a chapter, digest it, and pick up another chapter, and be ready for Erica on March 18th. So please take the time to do that and watch for announcements about it, because again, we have several copies that will be made available to those that are interested in sharing in another SUNY Erie book read. We've done several of those. Jason, you're off the hook this time. Erica picked up. So please do that. And again, we're trying to keep the momentum going because we are working under changes that we had never actually envisioned. Two other things I want you to keep in mind. This CIT, the CIT conference, again, will be virtually in May. I know it feels a way off, but think about planning for that and being able to participate. And the other thing is to watch the announcements for SAIL, for the leadership. There's quite a few leadership sessions that are made available, and we are a member with SUNY Professional Development, so you get to participate those even though we're virtual, and it's cost effective because you get to do it without additional cost. So please take the time to look at the Monday CPD announcements, and if there's something in your area that you know that your area could benefit by having additional professional development and you plan it, let us know so we can send it out to the college community and share it. That's it. Any questions? Okay, I have a librarian in my ear. She said to let you know that there is an ebook available through the library. Did you get hard copies? We have hard copies at all 3 campuses. Oh, you got them this morning?
Well, they're
I'm only kidding. Okay, we do have a couple of copies in the library that you have, but the CPD is going to also supply those. But there are copies if you want to check it out. Okay, so try to relax and do some reading and be prepared for March 18th. And again, once we find out whether we're going to be virtual or in person, we'll be calling on you so that we can coordinate the days so that professional development needs are met. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Okay, so moving along our agenda, Mr. Pat Ryan from our distance learning office.
Yeah, I just wanted to give you guys can hear me, correct? Good. All right.
Yep.
Quick update on the Brightspace migration. As you are probably all aware, our Blackboard contract goes away December 21st of 2022. So we will be migrating with the rest of SUNY, or almost all of SUNY, over to Brightspace, which is a product of Desire to Learn. We are in part of the first cohort, which means technically we're underway now. We had the kickoff meeting last week. I just got an invite to set up the meeting with our Brightspace contact liaison, so I will figure out an appropriate time for those people to meet after this, because the email came in while we were here. So basically what we can expect here is for the next couple months, DL will be working with ITS to get the environment set up, branded, those kind of things, put training materials together. You should start hearing from my department either through me or through CPD on training opportunities, probably starting around April. We will look at a pilot over the summer, hopefully, depending on schedule, whether it's summer 1, summer 2, we're not sure yet, because we haven't had the introductory one-on-one meeting, so I can't really nail everything down. So we will be looking for pilot volunteers over the summer, but don't email me yet. I will ask. Don't volunteer. Wait till I ask. And we'll be looking for volunteers, and come fall of this year, we will be in Brightspace. We will have training materials for students. We will have training materials for faculty. We will have all kinds of things set up, just like we've done for Blackboard. I'm going to keep it short because I always get lots of questions, so we'll just go this way. Questions?
All right, questions for Pat? Jason Steinitz.
Pat, is this going to be referred to as Desire to Learn or Brightspace? Because I can see myself typing D2L, but not BS. I would like to use D2L as what we call it.
Jason Steinitz for the win with the dad joke of the day.
There you go.
Do I have to respond to that one or just leave it?
I've been waiting to use that.
I know. Right now, SUNY is referring to it strictly as Brightspace, so we'll kind of follow SUNY's lead on that. How's that?
Okay.
We'll let SUNY learn about that.
I suspect it will not be called BS.
Yeah, we'll let SUNY figure out the problematic acronym of Brightspace. Any other questions or comments? All right, I just want to give a shout out to Pat and his team because we are in the first cohort for this migration. So we are not going to be last in line. We already have our foot in the door. There's meetings already happening, and we are ahead of many other institutions across SUNY, and that is due to Pat and his team's dedication. So this has been on their radar for quite a while. We've all of us on the DL have seen December 2022 looming for a while. So thank you for getting us in. So we are all going to be up, ready, and to rock and roll for the fall, which is going to be good for our students because our semester doesn't actually end until after the Blackboard contract ends. So we won't have to worry about that issue. So thank you, Pat, and your team.
One other thing, we are planning on the archiving of all of the Blackboard courses too. So that couple years have been handled already, where we've got couple more to do. We're going to archive them, put them away. My department will have access to all of those old courses.
Perfect. So no need to panic, anybody.
And Blackboard stuff comes over fairly nicely into Brightspace.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much. Kim Crowell with the student conference. I believe that was also on the CPD. Is that on the CPD one too? I don't know. I'll just pull it up.
Can you hear me? Yes. Well, you all will continue to hear more about the student conference until it actually occurs, March 23rd. Next week, you will see the registration for students come out via Baseline. They'll get that through their email. There will be a tabling registration that will go out to faculty and staff. We encourage all faculty and staff to consider doing a tabling to participate in the event, and we also encourage you to consider incentivizing your students to attend and participate, and also for those who do want to attend in terms of your students, to allow some flexibility to allow them to do so, or at least maybe have a conversation about that, how you want to, address that with your students if those students do decide to attend. If there's any questions about the event, please reach out to us, but we encourage everyone to participate, attend, and enjoy. We hope to have many more of these, and we look forward to everyone's participation to enhance our students' experience. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Kim. All right. Guided Pathways Institute 5 is up next. Andy and Essie.
Thanks, Colleen. It's sort of hard to believe in a couple weeks it'll be 2 years since March of 2020. And to me, it seems like that time has gone slow, very slow. But it's also hard to believe that in a few months will be 3 years from when we started Guided Pathways. And that to me feels sort of like a blink of the eye. It wasn't but a few weeks ago we had convocation. We had an engaging speaker in my mind, Dr. Melinda Karp, she was able to share why we're making the case for Guided Pathways and where do we fit in to all of that. It was also a first opportunity to expand this conversation to the staff and faculty at the college as a whole. Folks hear rumblings and little pieces of it throughout different Senate meetings or different opportunities, but this was where we were really able to broaden the conversation. We were able to create awareness of the program cluster creation that we developed, career coach implementation, customizable academic planning now that we can do for students within Workday, alternate plans for students looking to transfer to a future four-year school, co-rec remediation, and now currently the development of a self-directed placement model. All of these pieces fitting into the Guided Pathways framework. Next piece that we need to focus on is to look at student expansion and really start to begin to assess what our students feel relative to Guided Pathways. What is that experience to them? So we'll start to put that shift in place as we move through the next half of the year. Coming up in April is the final Capstone Institute. Some of the themes of that day are to focus on sustainability of Guided Pathways. This is the final piece to our Cohort 2 experience. How do we sustain it? How do we reflect upon what we've done? And where do we go from here? How do we maintain this cohort communication between ourselves and the other colleges? And how do we handle things like leadership transition at our institution? How do we keep the momentum going? How does shared governance play a role within Guided Pathways? And how do we continue to have professional learning occur? Our keynote, from what I've seen from the agenda, is going to focus on shared equity leadership. And the day 2 theme will be mindset shifts and equitable outcomes. So as we've done in the past, we've selected individuals based on role to attend and be participants at these institutes. The Capstone is really intended to be senior level staff at the college. So we're looking to invite our new president, Dr. Balkin, a few members of our board of trustees, as well as some of the other senior staff that work here at SUNY Erie. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Andy. I have to agree. It feels like Guided Pathways did just go by in a blink, and it's kind of nice that we're towards the end of this component, but of course we all know that there's still work that we need to do because just working our way through the institutes doesn't just check all the boxes. We then have to implement it and make it part of what we do in the future. Andy?
Just one other comment to piggyback off of Dr. Partey's presentation about the CPD newsletter. As for those of you that have seen it, we try our best to incorporate new and recent pieces related to guided pathways. You'll notice in this recent newsletter, there's another upcoming presentation by Dr. Karp, who is again our keynote from Convocation. But please continue to check that, because we do want to continue the learning at the college, continue the expansion of this idea, and continue to involve folks where we can.
Awesome, thank you. And there it is. So it's right above the Convocation breakout presentation portion of the CPD announcements. All right, before we start thinking about wrapping it up, I have so there's the calendar, of course, for the remainder of the semester, but I also added a visual reminder of when the fourth Tuesday of every month is. So again, if you have anything to submit or you would like the College Senate executive team to discuss, we really need to have that information before our meeting so we can have ample discussion about it so that we can properly bring things to the floor, as well as any sort of documents up, maybe like a week or so ahead of the meeting would be fantastic. So that's there for that. So just a little reminder. And I know we've talked about it in the past, but Eric and I decided that maybe if we wrote it down, it would, translate better. So there's that. And then we have our final piece of the agenda, which is for the good of the order. And if you recall, before we actually left, I think it was like one of our last few meetings back in spring of 2020, we added this to the agenda as a place for anything that isn't necessarily new business or old business. It could be questions, it could be concerns, it could be, hey, I got this great idea, any of those things. So if there was any part or thing that you weren't sure if it was an appropriate place to bring it up, this is that part of the meeting. Does anyone have anything they would like to add? Derek?
I would like to raise an issue that's coming up regarding a proposal, I think it's coming from SUNY, on the significant reduction of computer printers and scanners at Erie Community College. So the proposal is to severely reduce the amount of printers and scanners that we have at the college. And I can see how this might work in the newer campuses where you have office suites and the offices are close together. I just measured the office suite at Social Science North. There are 6 offices. The distance between the furthest office and the other furthest office is 26.5 feet. So presumably they would be asked to share one printer scanner. The post office building is not conducive to this, however. So we have a series of offices, 8 offices across one facade of the building, and the distance between the furthest office and the next furthest office is 122 feet. So if you look at the 8 offices along that wing of the building, presumably, the rumor is they're going to be sharing one computer, printer, and scanner. On average, they'd be walking 139 feet from desk to printer and back to desk again. The social science department for years had the goal of getting a printer scanner in every shared office in our department. And it took, after a number of years, we took money from our funds and we either bought computer scanners or we shared in the cost of computer scanners. And we finally reached that goal. So every 2 faculty have, or every office space has a printer scanner in that office space. And when students come into our offices for academic advising, we can now sit at a table with them, prepare a graduation audit, show on one piece of paper at a glance all the courses that they have taken, the courses that we're recommending, how they're going to contribute to their eventual graduation. And at the end of that session, we can walk over and make a copy of that or scan it, and they walk away with a tangible product that tells them not only what we're suggesting that they take, but how it's going to fit into their graduation. We can do this now without leaving a student in our office alone while we walk down the hall to print or scan their copy, and without having to walk past the line of 1 or 2 or 3 other students who are waiting for us so they can get their academic advising. I believe this proposal to severely restrict the availability of printer scanners is an indicator in the eyes of those people who came up with this idea that the people who use this equipment have nothing useful to contribute to these overarching decisions, that faculty and staff time has no value, that productivity is not important, and that saving, 15 cents on a copy is more important than serving the needs of our time-pressed students. I would suggest we think about this before just blindly implementing it. That's all I have to say on this.
Okay, thank you, Derek. I know that is something that Dave Uzinski brought up in our College Senate Executive Committee meeting, and that we have talked with Dr. Sga about it, and I don't want to, hang on, I wrote it down, but as far as I know, nothing's going anywhere currently right now. Yes, sorry.
That's okay. So I think part of the discussion we're going to have is really, and Derek rather, all the things that you pointed out are important and critical, but I think we have to look at some of the things that we're doing with Workday. I know Workday is a different topic for all of us in terms of its efficiency, but it's meant to do that. It's meant to be supportive to students. It's meant to help students do all those things that you're talking about. So we'll assess in terms of how we want to support our faculty to make sure, and staff, to make sure that they have the necessary resources that they need in order to function. But as a college, in totality, we really need to look at everything that we have in terms of how we want to be efficient with our resources and make sure that we are adhering to our students' need.
Thank you. I'm gonna try to pass around if you don't mind. Patty?
Yes. However, let's recognize that the physical structure of our 3 facilities is very, very different. I've taught out at South. It's nice. We always had the printer there. It was shared. You could leave a student just outside the door. I'm very concerned about the impression we give on a student that we say, you have to leave the office, I have to lock my door, and I have to go away to get what you need, and then let them back in. I mean, I'm shouting out loud, I don't trust you to stay in this room alone. And I've had things stolen from my office when I've run out to do something. It's common sense to lock the door, but it's can be perceived as rude and a barrier to our students. They could just wander away from us. So I think student-centeredness and recognize that the physical geography of our campuses is very different should be part of the consideration.
Thank you. Dana, you had your hand up before?
Yeah, I wanted to talk about this trend of reducing the amount of student computers on campus, because I think it goes hand in hand with this. In student access, we have people from other departments who are approaching us to use our test room at times because they can't find access to computer labs on campus anymore. And the trend with bringing your own device is all well and good, but it flies in the face of using OER materials and encouraging that, because in the paper on Sunday there was a piece with our new president quoted in it about the constraints that community colleges are having now with enrollment decline, and this is what it said. But the continued slide has alarmed some administrators and public officials and forced colleges to retool their missions, doubling down on programs that support low and middle income students and lead quickly to jobs and wage increases after graduation. Low-income students aren't going to bring their own devices. We need computer labs, we need resources. To me, it's the equivalent of walking through a mall and seeing the stores that are empty, but if you talk to management, they say everything's fine. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Dana. Molly?
Hi, sorry.
Don't be sorry.
So I am the president at South Campus, recently appointed, very new, and I apologize if this isn't the place for this issue to be brought up, but it's an issue that affects students, and students are why we're all here, and it's important. Since I've been president at South, we've faced many, many obstacles accessing our funds to be able to host events on campus. We are working through a sort of archaic system involving POs, which I don't know if you've ever tried to fill out a PO or tried to contact companies that accept POs, but it's seemingly impossible in 2022. And you're kind of bottlenecking student activities because we are not able to provide the necessary things to engage students because we don't have access to the money that they are paying to have these activities. We don't have money for food, we don't have money for water, we don't have money to have all of the wonderful activities that we have planned painstakingly for the spring semester, and we're facing having to cancel or having to rework these events. And we're willing to do that, but we shouldn't have to, because at the end of the day, this money was meant to go towards the students and the enrichment of their college experience. So we are open to suggestions. We have tried creative problem solving. We've talked to ASC, we've gone through the meetings, but we're asking for help. We're asking for solutions, and we are here because we want to do the best that we can for the student body.
Thank you, Molly. Dr. Sga?
Sure. Molly, I just want to apologize on behalf of the college. That is not where we should be. And I think we have a process in place to really address a lot of the issues that you mentioned. So I will meet with you after this conversation, after the meeting, to really address that, because that should not be the case. And again, I want to apologize on behalf of the college for that.
Thank you.
That's awesome.
Honestly, thank
you.
you for hearing us.
Absolutely. And, as someone that is at South Campus, I have seen that some of these events have been canceled and was curious why. And, and it's unfortunate for students that this is what's happening. So I'm glad that there is a solution. And thank you, Molly, for bringing it to the floor, because this is the appropriate place for things like that. So thank you. Yep, Dr. Balkin.
I might just add, I want to thank Dr. Sga for stepping up to address it. But in the future, if there's dollars that are allocated to function, and for whatever reason you're not able to access them in a timely manner, feel free to contact me directly, because I'll figure out how to get the money to you.
Awesome. Thank you. Dr. Newlands?
Yes, just quick. The SUNY General Education revisions are soon approaching. During the winter break, I had a really great meeting with each of the academic deans to go over those changes, also in collaboration with CWCC and Brian Millville. I really encourage department chairs to think of how exactly these general education revisions are going to affect their program, especially the AAS degree. And if there are any questions, please reach out to me or anyone in the Gen Ed committee, and we will be happy to advise as best as we can. Thanks.
Beautiful. Anyone else for the good of the order? All right, I wrote it all down. We all heard it. We are all going to work on it, and I will get back to all of you. It is 4:02. Thank you for a robust meeting to start the semester. Thank you to our new SGA officers for joining us and participating so much today. It's a nice fresh breath of air. Usually our students don't participate as much, so thank you. Thank you to Dr. Balkin for joining us today, and we'll see you all in March.